Hello, this is Mrs. Kantz coming to you with the Unit 4 test review for Biology B. We have been talking about organisms and how their systems are set up. And so as we go through this review sheet, make sure that you are filling it out, making sure that you have the right information. You may have a ton of information written down, but make sure you have the key points underlined so that you know exactly what to be studying. As we go through this review, our ultimate goal is to be prepared enough for this Unit 4 test so that you can score above a 70% on this test. If your goal is to be above that and score an 80% or above, make sure that you are gathering as much information on these topics as possible so you are well informed. Your first question on the review sheet is compare how each organism responds to the environment. All organisms, one of the key characteristics to organisms is to be able to respond to what we call stimuli or respond to the environment. How do they respond? Plants are going to use hormones to react to the environment. We talked about 3 different ones. Gibberellins, which are going to be producing those new seeds or those seedlings. Auxin, the main one we want to focus on is being able to bend towards the light, so they need that sunlight. For photosynthesis, so they are able to bend towards that light. And then the ethylene is going to be responsible mostly for being able to ripen the fruit. Flatworms, they have a simple simple nervous system. And part of that nervous system is that they have an eye spot that is sensitive to light. They also can detect chemicals to hunt. So basically they are smelling their food. The eye spots cannot detect images like we can. So you looking at your computer screen, a flatworm cannot make out that that is a computer screen, but they will be able to detect the light that is coming from that computer screen. Humans have a much more complex nervous system. Their nervous system is made up of neurons, your central nervous system that has the brain and the brainstem or that spinal cord. The peripheral nerves are going out to the rest of the body, and that nervous system is going to help us with our senses, being able to see, being able to touch, smelling, um, hearing. Tasting is also going to be in this. So tasting, add that to this list as well. Be able to identify the different parts of a neuron and show the direction that the action potential travels. Also explain what type of signal passes through the axon. Is it chemical or electrical? And how the signal is passed from one neuron to the next. Is that going to be chemical or electrical? So first of all, let's label these. Up here are going to be our dendrites. That's going to be what's catching that signal. The cell body of the neuron. And then down here is the axon. That signal that is being sent moves away from, or on the axon, away from the cell body. So in this case, follow this arrow right here. And it's going to be an electrical signal. If we were going to pass this electrical signal on to the next neuron, it would be a chemical a chemical signal. Describe how the nervous system works. So let's say we are going to touch something. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my pen. My sensory system is going to send signals to my brain letting me know that I would like to move to be able to pick up that pen. The brain in return sends a signal to the muscles in your arms and hands, and it forms an action potential. That action potential is going to be that electrical signal that moves down that axon. Below is a diagram of an action potential. Identify which cell axon is at rest, which one is a moving signal down the axon. And then you should be able to label the direction that the action potential is moving. In this picture, the top one is going to be the one that is all at rest. That means the sodium is all on the outside. Those positive charges on the outside. The negative charges are on the inside. Once we have an action potential, we start to open some channels. And those sodium ions are pouring in, and those negative signs are pouring out. And the direction would be following this arrow here. Explain the relationship between bones and muscles. To move a muscle or a bone back and forth, it requires the action of at least 2 muscles. Those muscles can only pull. So if I bend my arm, I have 1 muscle pulling to move that arm into that flexed position. To move it back, I also have to have a different muscle, that second muscle, to pull to be able to straighten my arm back out. What type of macromolecule is the muscle made out of? That would be protein. Label the actin and myosin in the 2 pictures below. Also, identify which picture is relaxed and which is contracted. Well, first of all, the red is going to be that actin. Think of that as that twisted licorice. And then the blue is the myosin. And the relaxed is going to be one that looks like this, where the blue and the red are kind of more spread out. And the contracted would be where that myosin is starting to grab even further down that actin. And so it looks like it's squished together. Explain how actin and myosin work together for contraction of muscles to occur. Here is a good explanation. Myosin has a head that is shaped like a golf club. Remember this blue right here, myosin, shaped like a golf club. Actin is shaped like a twisted rope. I think of it as licorice. Myosin is going to grab a hold of the actin and pull it. The myosin will release, grab the actin again, and pull again. This will continue until the myosin runs out of actin to grab. And eventually, the myosin will receive a signal to release, which is ATP, that usable energy source, and the muscle will be relaxed, causing the process to begin again. Explain how the nervous system and the muscles work together. Well, we know that our body is going to sense things. So your sensory system will send signals to your brain, letting it know that you would like to move. The brain, in return, will send a signal to your muscles in your arms and hands in the form of an action potential. Keyword right here, underline that, make sure you have that in there. When the action potential reaches your muscles, the muscles will begin to contract so you can move. For the contraction to occur, myosin, highlighted for a reason, guys, the myosin head will attach to the actin, and the myosin will pull the actin, causing both of the filaments in the microfill to shorten and scrunch together. The shortening or scrunching of the myofill is a muscle contraction. And then the myosin will continue to pull on the actin until there's no more room to pull. ATP will bind to the myosin. This is important, guys. Underline that. Make sure you highlight it. This will result in the myosin releasing the actin, and the myofibril will become longer, which means that the muscles have relaxed. This process continues with each repeated movement. Types of reproduction, asexual or sexual, for each organism, plants, flatworms, and humans. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and pause this video, write this information down, know which one is going to be sexual and asexual. Look at plants are both sexual and asexual. Flatworms are also asexual and sexual. Humans are just sexual. Identify the structures of the following flower here: 1, 3, 5, 8, and 9. I have them all labeled here, but your highlighted ones would be 1, 3, 5, 8, and 9. Pause the video to get the answers. Explain the life cycle of plants. What is their life cycle called? And describe the cycle and include a picture. So it's a two-part life cycle. They spend part of their life in the diploid, or that 2N phase, part in the haploid, which is half of that diploid, and it's called alternation of generations. Here is an example. So here we have that 2N, that zygote, that sporophyte. We have meiosis, goes back to that haploid stage where those gametes can then meet in fertilization. What happens to the immune system if a person with HIV, and how can this infection develop into AIDS? HIV is a virus that attacks the cells of the immune system. Specifically, it works by attacking and destroying the body's helper T cells, those immunity cells. Those cells are involved in launching that immune response. As the virus spreads in the body, the more and more helper T cells are destroyed, leaving the body with less preparedness for common infections. Eventually, as the number of helper T cells drops, the body develops the inability to fight off pathogens. This is called AIDS, or acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which leaves the immune system deficient or unable to fight infection. Know this right here, it is an essay question. 2 ways the plants defend themselves from herbivores. Pause the video to get this. There are multiple ways that we discussed. Spines, thorns, prickles would be those that are physical. There's also chemicals as well. If you have any questions about these, please make sure you email myself or Mrs. Fiore so that we can help you out. Have a great rest of your day.